And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Realty. My name is Brandon Rhymes, and I'm your host for the show. We're going to love to talk to you today. We got a great lineup for you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. First, a little bit about how the show works. We want to be your consumer advocate here in Tampa Bay. What do we mean when we say consumer advocate? Well, what we've done is we've assembled and we've vetted over 80 different categories of consumer advocate content, over 50 plus show partners. We're talking about attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, home services, solar companies, and more here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So we'd love to introduce you to our expert contributors and serve your, be your consumer advocate here in Tampa Bay and serve the community by introducing you to all of our expert contributors. Reach out to our hotline at 813-670-7372. That's our consumer advocate hotline. You can call or text that line. Any questions, comments you have, introductions that you want to be made from the show. We'd love to connect you with our expert contributors here with the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, also bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. You can see a link there to all of our expert contributors. You can submit an email form that's going to come through directly to myself and my team, and we're going to make sure we get right back to you before our head hits the pillow. We want to help you win in any marketplace. When we talk about that, we're talking about all of our expert contributors. Like today's show, we've got attorney Joe Pippen coming in the studio. He's a wealth of information around estate planning. We're going to talk about the 4 estate planning myths that refuse to die. These are things that come up all the time, and you hear, like, oh, I don't have enough money to worry about an estate plan. Well, you really need to think about that, rethink that. He's going to talk about the real estate industry. When you leave properties in trust, what does that really mean? How can that benefit you? Talking about portability of your homestead exemption. A lot of people don't realize when they buy a new property and it may cost more, it may be more expensive, they're not going to have to pay more in taxes if they properly port their homestead exemption. So that homestead exemption can go with you. And then also what it does, it effectively reduces your tax rate. You're not going to have to pay as high a taxes that some people would think. And of course, Joe being an estate planning attorney, he's over 40 years in business, and he's got one of the longest running radio shows, the longest running radio show in the state of Florida as well. So that's quite an accomplishment. So we're going to be talking with attorney Joe Pippen here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, and thinking about legal side of things, thinking about how you want to structure, and the 4 estate planning myths that refuse to die. We're going to talk about estate planning is only for high net worth individuals. No, false. That's not proper. Estate planning is only about distributing my assets after I die. No, that's not correct either. Myth number 3, a will can oversee the distribution of all my assets. Nope. And number 4, once I put a plan in place, I don't need to revisit it later. Nope. And that's why they're revocable, because you can change them at some point. So we got a great lineup for you here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to touch on a couple of hot listings that we've got here in Tampa Bay. 422 Wildwood Way. This is a great opportunity in Bel Air. Gorgeous property, 2-story home in a wonderful part of Tampa Bay. Bel Air is a community with multiple pro-style golf courses, just minutes to the beaches, and the owner's motivated here, and some of the furniture will stay. He's also put over $100,000 into recent upgrades with the property, so we'd love to talk to you about that property at 422 Wildwood Way over in Bel Air. Also, 212 Bunker Hill. This is a gorgeous townhouse style home. Now, this is an attached residential property, 212 Bunker Hill Lane in Dunedin, and it's right there on the causeway. So as you're driving out to Honeymoon Island and you see the beautiful waterways of Tampa Bay, you've got an opportunity to live in paradise right here. And the property is priced in the mid 200s, and it's a great opportunity. Check out all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And this segment's brought to you by WholeBodyFuel.com, the official meal delivery service of the Consumer Quarterback Show. WholeBodyFuel.com. They deliver awesome meals directly to your home or office, and I get my deliveries on Sundays. And every day, I love opening up the package. I've got great food that I don't have to worry and rush around and drive through the fast food joints that we know aren't good for us. I have my whole body fuel with me. I take it on my appointments, and I have it right there ready to go. And it's a great opportunity to live clean, eat clean. WholeBodyFuel.com. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you and take them up on special offers. All right, we'll be right back here with Joe Pippen, attorney Joe Pippen, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to talk about the 5 documents, the 5 estate planning documents that you can't live or die without, right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes 1 on Instagram and Twitter, Consumer Quarterback Show page on Facebook, as well as the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty on Facebook, and we'd love to connect with you. We'll see you right after this.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping you win in your real estate deals, buying, selling, or investing. And, of course, we do cash offers as well. We can make instant cash offers on your property through our program called Keller Offers. And we can help you close quickly on that. Any types of situations where you need to close quickly on your real estate, we'd love to talk to you about that. Reach out to our hotline, 813-670-7372 is our consumer advocate hotline. You can reach us at 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Save our hotline number. Also bookmark the website, consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors. 813-670-7372, consumerqb.com. All right, we got attorney Joe Pippen here in the house, estate planning attorney here in the Tampa Bay, and also throughout the whole state, Joe. Multiple offices throughout the state, the longest running radio show.
36 years.
36 years. Nice. I love it, man. That's awesome. So helping people as a consumer advocate, you truly are a consumer advocate in everything you do. It's all about, protecting people. When we talk about estate planning, you talk about the different types of documents. And we also have an interesting story for estate planning myths that refuse to die. We'll talk about here on the show as well. But Yeah, it's
Well, it's great to be back. Thanks for having me on the show. I really enjoy being with you personally and being on your show and helping as many people as I can. And so anybody has a question for me, of course, they can. My show's on Saturday morning on 570, 910, 860 also. 9:30 on the Salem Family, and plus we have other radio stations across the state that carry the program. It's Ask an Attorney. It's a live show every week where people call in and ask legal questions. You never know what you're going to get.
Saturday morning, is it?
Saturday mornings.
Yep.
I had a question this weekend. It was I hardly ever get a question I've never had before.
Yeah.
So I had this guy who worked at a car wash who vacuumed the car and then drove the car to the next spot.
Yeah.
And he was worried. I'm still not sure I know the answer to this. There's a legal answer, and then there's a what would happen answer, basically. But
yeah.
He said when he's cleaning the car, sometimes he'll see a weapon under the seat.
Ah.
And he's a felon.
Ooh.
So he can't be around weapons. And he wanted to know if could he get in trouble from driving the car after he vacuumed the car to the next point if he knew there was a weapon in the car.
Oh.
Now, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
The answer is, well, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
An officer might make a big issue out of that and, take it really serious. And an other officer might look at the circumstances and just walk away and not do anything. But
yeah.
There's a danger there, I would think.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't his car. But I get interesting questions like that.
That is interesting because it is
right.
kind of one of those conundrums where you see both sides. Hey, I didn't see it. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, but he saw it though. He told me he saw it.
Right, but I would claim, I didn't see it. If I'm in his shoes, in that situation. But yeah, exactly. How do you take that on?
Yeah, if you shoot the guy on your porch, make sure you drag him inside your house, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're talking with Joe Pippen here, attorney Joe Pippen on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And when you look at the law profession, the legal profession, a lot of our other attorneys on the show that do different areas of law, personal injury or different, family law, et cetera, talking about Zoom coming into play right now more and more with the coronavirus. Have you been doing more virtual Zoom type setups?
Most all of my first appointments now are by phone. So I'll interview a client on the phone, determine what they need, send them drafts, and then instead of having 2 meetings with the client, the first one's a telephonic or Zoom type of meeting. The second one is to go over the documents and get them signed. So we really have changed a little bit. I'm not sure if we'll change back to the way it used to be. Well, I'll meet with you, talk with you, take notes, get your documents, send your drafts, or whether this has worked very well for the first appointment to be by Zoom or on phone.
Yeah.
And then send drafts.
Yeah, because it's going to be pretty much a topical level, high level overview. Okay, what are we dealing with, divorces or not, and those types of scenarios.
Yeah, so it's good to get the facts on the phone and then send them drafts and go from there. Then have another meeting with them by phone perhaps to go over the documents a little bit when they come in. It's basically signing, and all legal documents have to be witnessed and notarized, of course. So that's what that meeting is for.
Now, before we jump into what the different types of documents are, what you need to do, how to, the different scenarios when it comes to estate planning, and even, part of your job also, I believe, is, when you're looking at from a tax perspective, you're working with your CPA closely on that. Just in general, the longevity, congratulations on your business being this, long in business. And, what's kind of a tips on success? There's a lot of other business owners, realtors that listen to this show. How have you done it successfully over, an extended period of time, multiple decades, I'm assuming, with your law practice, your radio show? I love that you have your radio show model because that's how we built our real estate business as well. But just some few nuggets on success, Joe.
Well, I think the secret to success in any business, particularly like the business you and I have, is communication. Mm-hmm. So I've given talks almost every week of my life. I'll give a talk or two in a community, in a church, a homeowners group, Kiwanis, Rotary, Women's Club, Men's Club, New York Club, New Jersey Club. I mean, there are all types of groups out there that need speakers to come in. So I've made myself available for that at no charge, basically. I've done the radio show every week for now 36 years. Next year, I'll be my 40th year of practicing law.
Nice.
So early in my practice, I started the radio show. I've written numerous books on estate planning and so forth. I've got articles written, magazine articles and so forth, newspaper articles. So constant communication was the secret I think, in my practice.
Yeah. So when you say communication, it's not just like the one-on-one. It's not the business. You're talking about getting your exposure piece out there. You're talking about one to many. Right. One to many. So if it's a small group, hey, that's 12 people, 24 people that I didn't know before today. And then with the radio show, we've got thousands of listeners. And of course, we're taking our video content through WeBeam TV and Rob and John, what they're doing for us. And then we're putting that on social. So that's exponentially getting the message out even further.
When I was in the business world, before I started practicing law, I was very active in Toastmasters. I wanted to learn how to speak effectively. I remember writing an article before I became an attorney that just was for the business world. It wasn't for me as an attorney. It wasn't for the legal world. It was called Speak Your Way to Success.
Nice.
So I wrote an article that was published in a newspaper. When I was more interested in business success there as opposed to owning my own law firm. I hadn't gotten to that stage yet. So I think I learned a long time ago that being an effective speaker and a communicator and being there for people and not being greedy, not doing a commercial where call me or anything like that. It's a way to communicate just to help people without asking for anything.
Yes.
Just like this show, you're not asking for anything. I mean, you would like to get a new real estate listing and things like that, but you're not out there begging for it. You're just making yourself available and giving as much information as you can. So I think communication is really the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you just joined us, we're talking with attorney Joe Pippen here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. And yeah, you're right on point when you look at, some of the most successful entrepreneurs now have built their platforms on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. And one of the foremost in that space is doing a lot of speaking, Gary Vaynerchuk. And he talks about, as well as his book is, it's called Jab, 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 and then Right Hook. So meaning, give, give, give. Okay, now let me ask for something. So if you give value first, then it's not so awkward when you're asking for a deal or a listing or whatever.
Yeah, there's an old saying, I think, the more you give and the least you ask for, the more you get.
Oh, okay. I like that.
That's kind of the key of who I am without really thinking of a business model or thinking I was going to be that way or planning to be that way. I think I was just naturally that way. So it became very easy for me to just give, and not really ask for much. So
yeah. And the more that you can add value to other people, the more that you can add value to other people's lives, whether it's a realtor that's wanting to join our team, hey, here's the tools, here's the opportunities. We'll bring our realtors on the show, give them an opportunity to appear on the program. And for clients, for customers, the more that we can give as far as information, value add, I think that's the key to success as well.
Yeah, and my show, Ask an Attorney, it's the neat part about it, as I think about it, is people will call in and ask me a question, and I just take calls. I mean, I don't have very little monologue. I just take call after call after call. And so if someone's calling me and asking me a question and someone else has the same circumstance and they really didn't even know they had a problem, or they could have done something better and they're listening to this conversation going on, then they've learned something.
Exactly.
So then that means a lot more to them when they're listening, because now they're learning and applying the situation to their own circumstances, and then they come out with a much better result.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Especially the legal profession, because there's so many things. If you listen to what, Uncle Joe said, but then you say, well, that was probably true back in the 80s, but now something's changed. Like, there's so many ways that you could really set yourself up for failure by going off of, bad information, misinformation, and it may not be intentional. And I see it happen a lot of times in real estate. People don't really know what the actual statistics are or what the market is, and they listen to a family member, and unfortunately, it puts them in the wrong position.
And a lot of people out there listening have actually paid for legal advice and have paid for a phone call, and have paid for a paperclip and a copy, and you name it. There's a charge associated with a lot of different things. Yeah. Many attorneys and many people have experienced that.
Yeah, exactly.
So to have a show where you're just sitting there giving everything you know about a topic that wherever it comes up, and it's free.
Yeah.
It's unusual, and I don't know. I mean, I've got the longest running radio show, period. Not just the longest running legal show. It's the longest running radio show in Florida.
Congratulations.
36
That's
years.
awesome.
I mean, so nobody can take that away from me, and as long as I can talk and speak and react quickly to a question, I'll probably be there because I enjoy doing it. So
yeah, you take time every Saturday morning to come in and do it live.
Right, exactly.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. Yeah, hats off to you for that. Now, let's dive into so when it comes to myths, we could even start with this, for estate planning myths that refuse to die. So what are the common myths that you see? And then we can refer to this article as well. But when it comes to estate planning and, what are people just miss?
Well, the first myth here is, let me talk about it, because a lot of people, the myth is, well, I don't have much. I don't have enough to really worry about. An estate plan, that's
right.
for wealthy people. I don't have that much. So then you say, well, let's take a pen to all this, and I'll ask you a few questions. What's your home worth? Do you have checking and savings account? Do you have a car? Do you have a retirement account? Do you have insurance? And you ask them all these questions, and you're writing it all down. Well, what's that worth? What's that worth? And that worth? And they add it up, and you say, well, hey, you've got over $500,000 here just with these few questions. I mean, that's a lot of money. So what do you mean you don't have that much?
Exactly.
And, if then you talk about what to do with the estate plan, and they said, well, I've got wills, I'm just leaving everything to my spouse. Would you own it jointly? Yes. Well, it would automatically go to her regardless of what the will says if you own it jointly. And then to the kids. And then I'll say, well, do you want not that much to go through probate? Because, $500,000 times a 3 to 6% fee is a big probate fee. So a lot of people will kind of think they need any estate planning because they don't have that much. And then when you nail them down a little bit and see that they have quite a bit compared to most other people, or even if it's just an average amount, maybe it's 3, 4, 500,000, doesn't matter. If it's 100,000, it doesn't matter. I have a client that comes in and says, well, I've got a $60,000 condo at top of the world, and I've got a retirement account and a car. I don't have that much. I'll say, okay, well, let's look at that. You're leaving everything to your 2 kids. So if you die with a condo just in your name, our minimum probate fee is $2,500.
Yep.
And the probate costs are going to be $500 or $600 to the petition to start the probate, the ad in the paper, the bonding, and everything the court requires you to do. I said, let's say that's $3,000. So you can do a $150 will and die, and you're going to have a $300,000 cost even just to transfer the condo to your kids.
Yeah.
And if you had a living trust, you could pay a little bit more than $150, not that much more, and put it in a trust, and it'd go to your kids without that big probate fee.
Right.
So it really doesn't matter if you don't have that much. And, what's the definition of not that much? Or what's the
exactly. Yeah.
Well, I heard you have to be wealthy. What's the definition of wealthy?
Exactly.
Yeah. So really everyone needs a will, maybe a trust, durable power of attorney, healthcare, surrogate living will. Those all have a particular purpose to make your life better or easier or less complicated when the time comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think another one, what you just mentioned, $150. I think they think it's this big expensive. Oh, anytime I get an attorney involved, I can just they feel like you walk in and you hit the clock and it starts spinning dollars, right? There's dollars spinning. $150 for some of these documents. It's very affordable. Yeah, I learned a long time ago that you should have published fees and flat fees. Because if you call a law office and then you try to figure out what's this going to cost me, well, we'll come on in and let's talk about that, and then I'll let you know at the meeting. Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of times those meetings, it might be a lot more than $150.
Right.
So if you have a published fee, we have a published fee schedule on our website.
Right.
People call me every week on the radio and ask me what I charge for this or that. I'm able to give them a flat fee.
Right.
So it would take away the fear of attorney fees out of their mind right away, because when they come in to see me, they're already going to know what they're going to pay for what they want.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's straight up, right up front. Lets them know, here's what you're looking at. Here's the idea, and it takes away a lot of the anxiety too when it comes to that, because again, lawyers, attorneys, courts, it just scares people initially, and they don't really know what they don't know. So then it compounds the issue, even further.
That's exactly right.
So real estate in trust, I think I get questions on that as well. By putting a real estate property into a trust, what are we doing? We're providing protections. We're providing anonymous and making it anonymous in a lot of cases, right? With certain types of trust, blind trust, is it?
Well, if you had a land trust, you can hide the identity of the homestead. But in Florida, as you know, the homestead's exempt from creditors. You can't sue a person and take their homestead.
On the homestead, right.
So that's a protected asset. So the big thing about a homestead, I think, is that if you put it into a living trust, you can avoid any. There's a petition to determine homestead. There's a legal process to transfer the home out of a deceased person's name. A lot of people say, well, there's no probate on homestead. That's true and not true, because you still have to go through a legal process through the probate court to transfer the home, but petition to determine homestead, and so forth. So if you have it in a living trust, you can bypass that whole step and not have to pay our minimum fee for that's like $2,500, like I said,
Right.
plus cost. With a living trust, you do a quitclaim deed. When you create the trust, you transfer your home from yourself to yourself as trustee of your own trust. So your question was, well, what about the homestead exemption? What about the save the cap?
Yeah, those are
What
good
about
ones.
the portability? You don't lose anything at all when you transfer your home from yourself to yourself as trustee. It's the same entity.
Right. Okay.
So none of those big benefits go away. Homestead
good.
exemption doesn't go away. The taxes are not going to change. It's not a gift. It's not a transfer to another entity. You and the trust are the same entity. You file the same tax return. You reserve all of your special benefits and so forth.
Yeah, and that's why you see a lot of wealthy people. They have a really big estate for their homestead.
Yeah. Now, suppose you had real estate in another state. Suppose you had even a timeshare in North Carolina. Well, if you die with real estate's probated where it's situated. So a person who has properties in 2 or 3 states going to have 2 or 3 different probate fees, 2 or 3 different probate attorneys.
Wow.
Multiple costs. If you had a living trust, you can put all of those properties into one trust, one Florida trust, let's say, and avoid probate in all those places.
Wow. Yeah, it gets complicated. So we'll just talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Also, more from attorney Joe Pippen here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. 4 estate planning myths that refuse to die, and our feel-good story of the day. 2 strangers rescue a woman from sinking car after witnessing a horrific accident. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show. Check out consumerqb.com.
This is Warwick Dunn, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Recently featured again in Florida Realtor Magazine, the May 2020 issue. Our team was featured, the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, featured for our branding and our unique strategies around featuring our listings live on air on our syndicated radio and TV show. For example, we just listed 5 acres in the heart of Tampa. This is a great commercial builders and developers. 12208 Four Oaks Road right here in Tampa. You've got 5 acres. We've got professional photography coming as well. This is 5 acres that is zoned for 9 units per acre right here in the heart of Tampa Bay. It's literally a mile or two from Del Mabry, and it's close to the Veterans Expressway. Great business development opportunity here in Tampa Bay, residential development, that is. 12500 Hamlin Road, another development opportunity in Pasco County. This one's $950,000 for 41 acres in Pasco County, one of the fastest growing areas in the state of Florida. Lots of development happening in Tampa Bay, and a lot of great things happening with our local economy, local businesses. You can see all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And this segment is brought to you by Two Maids and a Mop, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Two Maids and a Mop. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties, and we'd love for you to reach out and support our local area partners here. This is Two Maids and a Mop right here in Tampa Bay. Say hello to Tabitha and her team out of Clearwater. They offer safe, reliable, professional-grade cleaning at Two Maids and a Mop, the official cleaning partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got attorney Joe Pippen in the house, estate planning attorney right here in Tampa Bay. He also has his own radio show. You probably heard him Saturday mornings right here on 860 The Answer as well. So talking about estate planning, let's go back to our article here. We had the 4 myths that are hard to die, that refuse to die here. 4 estate planning myths. Number 2, it says estate planning is only about distributing my assets after I'm gone.
Well, let me ask the person, would you want to be declared incompetent one day while you're living?
No.
So you have to plan. It's best to have a plan to have that not happen.
Right.
And that's generally a durable power of attorney / healthcare surrogate document.
Okay.
So you need to appoint someone, usually with a backup, that can handle all things. Let's say you have a living trust as your plan. Power of attorney, healthcare surrogate would deal with all things that are not in the trust. What's not in the trust? Well, retirement accounts might not be in the trust. Life insurance annuities might not be in the trust because they have beneficiaries. Do you want someone to make healthcare decisions for you? Do you want someone to deal with a doctor, to be your advocate? Do you want someone involved in your life while you're living but maybe had a stroke or an accident and not able to do so?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a living will that says you won't be artificially prolonged in a vegetative, terminal, unconscious, end-stage condition? Do you want a living will document? So all of those documents, durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, living will, are all documents part of the estate plan, and they all involved while you're living. You have a plan in place. You have someone in charge that can make things happen for you, for your benefit, using your assets. So estate planning is not just when you die. It's taking care of steps to avoid being declared incompetent. If I'm speaking in a group and I say, okay, how many of you would like to be declared incompetent one day? Nobody's going to raise their hand.
Right.
Well, have you done anything about it? I mean, do you have a power of attorney? Do you have a healthcare surrogate? Do you have a living will? Have you done anything where something might come up and then someone has to make the decision because you're unable to do so? You have to give them a legal document to accomplish that. So that's a big part of estate planning as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you get in a car accident or whatever the situation is, and you're not paying your mortgage because you're laid up in the hospital somewhere and nobody has access to actually write checks for you, that's probably just one different scenario. I'm sure you've seen several scenarios.
Oh, yeah.
Of that.
People, not everybody has direct pay on their bank account for even electricity.
Right.
And so forth. So an older person forgets to make their payments.
Right.
And they have a lot of negative effects. So someone at that point, when they're no longer able to, would come in, maybe get the mail shifted, maybe set up some automatic payment accounts and just do things for them.
Yeah. All right. We're talking with attorney Joe Pippen here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Now, Joe, here's number 3. Myth number 3: a will can oversee the distribution of all my assets.
Well, I can't tell you how many times someone's died and someone comes into my office and said, hey, my parents did a will, and look here, there's a copy of it, and they said 3 equal shares to my 3 children. And I'm one of those 3 children, and I didn't get anything. Why not? So then you dig a little bit deeper, and you found out that the deceased parent had a will that left everything in 3 equal shares, but they put one of the children's names on an account equal with them. Mother or daughter on a bank account. So now mother dies, guess who gets it? Daughter, because it's mother or daughter on the bank account. So all that money now goes to the daughter. Doesn't matter what the will says. That will is only going to control an asset that's in a deceased person's name. So in that case, there's nothing to probate. So the person who doesn't get anything, the son who doesn't get anything, goes to the daughter and says, look, and the will says, Mom has always said she wants to treat us equally. She always has wanted 3 equal shares. And the month before she dies, you take her to the bank and open a bank account, and now that account says mother or daughter. And now the daughter says, well, Mom wanted me to have it. So what do you do?
Yeah, right. Jeez.
So daughter's got the money because it was a joint account with daughter, with right of survivorship on the account. The will says 3 equal shares. The will doesn't mean a thing at that point.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a mother or daughter. It could be a transfer on death account. The daughter could have just been a beneficiary on the account.
Right. Interesting. Lots of scenarios.
Lots of those things happen all the time, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So myth number 3 is a myth. Okay. Once I put a plan in place, I don't need to revisit it later. And that's absolutely false, right?
We send our clients a letter every 3 or 4 years suggesting a review. I mean, people die. People have a change of relationship with people. Even own children sometimes get addictions or something where you might want to change how the instead of giving them an outright amount of money, it could be you want to give it to them over a period of time and subject the distribution to random and mandatory testing, so you don't really enhance or aid the addiction.
Right.
People die. People marry a greedy, pushy in-law that would control the money, so you want to take some steps not to let that happen. Some people come in and want to omit. I've had a husband and wife. One of them dies, and one of the children didn't come to the funeral. It's very standoffish.
Wow.
And so sometimes people get omitted from inheritance.
Wow.
So there are changes to be made. Sometimes I had a lotto winner won $38 million.
Yeah.
And so after they did that, their documents changed, of course.
Wow.
So people receive inheritances. Now, you can leave $11.5 million tax-free, so estate taxes are not an issue for most people, but, it could be on some.
Wow.
There are lots of things that could change in life to make you want to change your estate plan. And this virus that we're going through.
Yeah, how's that impacted?
All right, so a lot of people now have been wanting to change their documents and just kind of been putting it off. And now more people are interested in getting their act together and getting organized and getting their last documents in place. So a lot of people put it off for a long time, so those people are all coming now to get it all done. A lot of people have done things in the past 3 or 4 years ago that now they want to change. So now they're coming in. So the virus has pushed people. It used to be that people would come in and want to a lot of people would come in right before they were getting ready to take a big trip on a plane, and they wanted to get their estate planning done before they left for a long vacation. Or somebody in their family just passed away, really didn't have an estate plan. That prompted them to get their act done. So now you have those two things, which are the plane trip's not too often used, but people come in, well, this virus I'm really worried about. I want to get my act together and my documents done and get everything organized and up to date. So
they're nervous about it.
Yeah, well,
more
rightly
people.
so.
Yeah. The issue of coronavirus has changed a lot of businesses. You look at the different industries that were impacted most, the airline industry, the different hospitality. Oh man, and it's really boomed some other ones like Grubhub, ordering food, have it delivered. Some of those different types of businesses have boomed. It's interesting to see how, and Zoom, for example, I think Zoom had like 20 million users. It shot up to like 200 million users, on Zoom. So think about, the impacts of coronavirus and how it's changed. And it's interesting that more and more people were coming in in droves to look at their estate plan.
Yeah, you never would have thought the restaurant industry would suffer. I mean, restaurants come and go, but there's always a bunch of them there you can go to. And being restricted like that, you never would have thought of that, even a few months ago before the virus.
Yeah. Do you think it was a little bit of a, overreach in terms of coronavirus as far as shutting everything down? It seems like a lot of businesses were shut down. They weren't deemed essential. Real estate, luckily, we still had some deals going. But, for the first 6 weeks there, 4 to 6 weeks, however long it was very scary for a lot of people. And I think it was just the mass media and a little bit of an overreach, in my opinion, as far as, hey, yeah, it was a flu bug. It was a little bit stronger than the actual regular flu bug that people get. Have you ever seen anything like that, Joe? We've never seen anything.
No, it's all new territory.
It's crazy, huh?
I don't think if you wanted to argue with someone about that point, I don't think you could ever win that argument. Just half the people are going to think one way and the other half are going to think the other way.
Yeah, it is one of those.
So one of my secrets to success on radio is never get into the arguments
Don't
like
pick
that.
a side, right?
Right,
yeah.
Exactly right. So that's not why I'm there. I'm there to help people. I'm not there to convince you to change your mind on a big point.
Exactly.
So I've one of my secrets is I've never gone there. I've never been political. I've never taken political on the radio. I've never taken a side.
Right.
I've never gotten into these arguments where I'm going to lose half of my people aren't going to like what I'm saying.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just there to help people.
That's a good way to be.
I'm just there to help.
That's right. Yeah. So, the coronavirus definitely changed the way that we see things. That the social distancing you're seeing at Major League Sports, it's unbelievable the impact that it's been. And, again.
I'm going to miss my college football if they don't play this fall.
I know, man. That's going to be
horrible.
so sad. Did you see the governor? Did you see that where he says now that they can be paid? I didn't read the full story.
Oh, yeah, that came up. That they passed legislation on that now.
So Florida is one of the first states to do that, I think, right?
Well, I'm not sure who's first, but that's going to be interesting because, well, these people give up a lot, they practice a lot, they work a lot. Some are a lot better than others. Some drive the team. Some create money for the team on commercials and advertisement and shirts and jerseys and.
There's a lot of money going around.
Especially, I think, if they're going to use their name on those shirts and jerseys and whatever goes along with that.
Yep.
I think they should make money off of that.
Absolutely. Yep. I think it's definitely something that needed to be revisited, and I'm glad to see, Ron DeSantis, being a leader in that category. All right, more from attorney Joe Pippen here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. When we come back, we're going to jump into more of our estate planning tips, myths, and things to do, things to avoid. Also, our feel-good story of the day. 2 strangers rescue woman from sinking car after witnessing horrific accident. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at ConsumerQB.com. listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show. A couple of hot listings here for this segment. I want to let you know about some properties we've got listed in Tampa Bay. 520 George Street South. This is on Lake Tarpon. Gorgeous opportunity. You've got your own private boat dock with open water views of Lake Tarpon. 2,500 acre lake. $496,000 is the asking price. You got your own separate mother-in-law suite. Great opportunity to own real estate property, single family home right on Lake Tarpon in Tarpon Springs. 520 George Street South in Tarpon Springs. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue. Owner is motivated on this office building. It's a freestanding office building at 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. You've got your own signage on the highway there, Hillsborough Avenue. 40 to 50,000 vehicles a day coming by. Freestanding office building, huge conference room, small kitchen, and about 8 other offices completely fenced in. And, of course, the TV comes along with it and all the video equipment as well. 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPteam.kw.com. Giving a shout out to Replenish IV Solutions, the science of nutritional balance. Say hello to our friends Stephen and Lisa Gunnan at Replenish IV Solutions. And what we're talking about here is these vitamin infusion drips directly into your bloodstream with vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, all kinds of good stuff. The Myers cocktail is the most famous. Reach out to our friends Replenish IV Solutions. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Tell me something good.
All right, here's our story of rescue. This woman that got rescued from her car after sinking into a drainage ditch. It apparently, so 2 strangers did not hesitate to dive into murky water when they saw a vehicle sinking into an irrigation ditch in California. On Wednesday morning, 4:50 a.m., Daniel Miranda was on his way to work when he witnessed what he called a horrific accident. He saw the car go out of control, hit a pole, spin more than a dozen times, and land upside down in an irrigation ditch. And he says, I can't just sit here. And the 27-year-old saw the car sinking deeper and deeper and said, man, time to go in. So George Mendoza, also another witness, followed suit. And the Tracy Firefighters Association has commended Miranda and George Mendoza, along with the Alameda Sheriff's Department, and technically for coming in and driving or rescuing the driver. So this picture of the 2 heroes was taken earlier with the firefighters dispatched a vehicle that rolled over into a ditch. And the driver's car was a young female who rolled over several times, landed upside down, and almost completely submerged in an irrigation ditch. These 2 men were traveling in separate cars, did not know each other, witnessed the accident, pulled over, immediately started working together to get the unresponsive woman who was still submerged in the car. Together they performed CPR and revived her prior to crew's arrival. She lived. It's not every day that 2 total strangers risk their own lives to save another total stranger. All right, cool story in our feel-good story of the day. And now back to attorney Joe Pippen here, estate planning attorney right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And he's also got his show Saturday mornings. So, Joe, what else? We've got a short period of time here left. What else do you think is important for us to touch on that we might not have hit so far in the show?
Well, one thing in estate planning that always comes up, and I think families have to be concerned about this somewhat, is that sometimes caregivers get too close to the person they're taking care of.
Yeah.
And sometimes documents get changed to favor the caregiver as opposed to the family.
Wow.
So I think when you're hiring a caregiver, I deal with one I refer all the time to people. When you're hiring a caregiver, be very, very important of what their ethics are. Sometimes when you can hire a caregiver and they're just not part of a licensed group, a professional group, a group that's been around a long time, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. And if you hire a group like that, it's less likely that something that could always happen, but it's less likely if you deal with a professional group as a caregiver.
Yeah. I'm never surprised when you watch the news. I saw Sheriff Grady Judd over in Polk County again, and a Little League president stole money from the kids, $7,000 buying stuff at this one and that one, all the different stores, the common stores. But yeah, you see it. So how do you, what kind of questions are you asking then, right? When you're interviewing that caregiver, that's going to be the most important thing. Questions, background checks.
Yeah, well, you can get them bonded, which is not a bad idea. So
that's good.
If they steal money, but being named in a will or trust is not stealing money, though. Right. So, when this happens in my office, once in a while, a caregiver will bring their patient in with them. And if it's not my client, then I'm saying, well, you want to change your document to leave to the caregiver? And I said, well, she's here, he or she's with you today. Yeah. So I'm not going to do that document.
Oh, nice.
I'm saying you need to come back on your own. You need to come on your own without an interested party that you want to leave money to.
Right.
And even if a son brings a mother in and the conversation starts to go that the document's going to be changed to favor the son, I won't do the document. I say, look, I don't want to be involved in doing a document that could be contested, and undue influence is a big reason documents get contested. So I just don't want to be part of that because, well, I'm going to tell you, if you want me to do it, you come back on your own. You come back with a non-interested party. You come in a cab. You come with a neighbor. You come with a church member. You come with somebody you're not leaving anything to, and then I'll do the document. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do the document with an interested party that brought you is going to be favored in the document.
Right. Yeah, because there's potential for influence then.
Yeah, that's a big thing, really. The most common reasons people have documents contested are incompetence or undue influence, and the undue influence is the bigger one, I think.
Yeah.
Because very few attorneys are, I had a client says, I'm not going to do your document unless you bring me a letter from your doctor that says for my file, basically, that you were competent during this time.
Yep.
Because there are already people, the story goes, when they came in for the interview, there are already stories that were going to be upset about what she was going to do. And there's people likely in the family that were going to contest.
Right.
So I said, well, listen, the way we can both protect this document is you bring me a doctor's note that you're competent to make legal decisions, and I'll put that in my file. So if it gets contested, I'll whip that out, show it to them, and that's going to lessen the probability they would proceed at that point.
Yeah, good point.
So it's little things like that you can do in estate planning that come up.
Yeah, well, you've seen it all, I guess, in your 40-year career. You've seen a lot. You said it's very rare that you get a question you haven't had. What's another question you haven't had, Joe? I've
had some. I tell people when I'm talking about my show where it comes up, I said, look, the show is mainly educational.
Yep.
But there are a few entertaining calls that I get once in a while, as you can imagine. And one of them always comes to mind is the lady who called, and I had to explain this about 3 times, but she wanted to know if she could probate her own will.
Okay.
Because your will doesn't get probated till you die.
Yeah.
So I don't think you're going to be able to probate your own will.
Yeah.
But it took a couple of times for that to sink in on the answer that she couldn't do. She was a do-it-yourselfer, but you can't do it after you die.
Well, that's a good point you bring up too. DIY, people want to do it yourself, and we see mistakes made in real estate. I've seen for sale by owner properties listed $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 over what they really should sell for, and then if somebody comes in and makes an offer and they start negotiate, hey, they made a deal, they might not get the lending on it, but what have you seen DIY mistakes in the estate planning?
Well, I see them all the time when people try to do documents. One I had just yesterday, I think, a person came in with a will or trust they tried to do themselves, and they had 8 beneficiaries.
Wow.
On their document, and they all had a different percentage. It wasn't 8 equal shares. It was, one got 33, one got 16, one got 5, and they're all different.
Did it add up to 100?
Yeah, they did add up to. I've had that problem too.
Yeah.
All right. So but there's no language about what if the person died, before you.
Yeah.
What happened to that 33%? Because there's no magic language there. It goes to his issue. It goes to someone else. So basically, we talked about the document need to be changed, and a lot of other little things that need to be changed. So I just kind of restated things for him. But in that case, if somebody wasn't living, then it'd be pro rata to the other 7, which means the ones that they were going to get more got more. It was pro rata into the percentages that were originally existed. So. So there's special language you put in documents like that, and people don't think about that. And I've seen people do documents where there are all minors involved. I don't want to leave anything to my kids. I want to leave it all to my grandkids.
Right.
So there's special language you put in of how the money can be used until they get to whatever age you want to leave it to them. So,
Interesting.
So a lot of these things, sometimes they name people as personal representative or not qualified under the state of Florida to be the personal representative in the estate.
Good point.
Sometimes they give everything to Wonderful Son A or give 50% to Wonderful Son A outright and then try to make Wonderful Son A the trustee for Son B, who is on addiction problems, and his is going to be a stretch distribution. So you never give one their money and put them in charge of the other one's money, basically.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So
there's a lot of stuff.
All kind of things like that go on in estate planning.
Oh, good stuff. Well, hey, another great show. Appreciate you spending some time with us and educating our listeners and viewers of our TV show version. ATTYPIP.com is the website. ATTYPIP.com. You'll see his website there. And, of course, you can see our website, consumerqb.com. You can see links to all of our expert contributors there. And, of course, hit our hotline up if you'd like more information, 813-670-7372. Please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time